Welcome to This Explainer. Okay, before we even look at any data or business models today, I want you to do something for me. Just take a brief second and think back. Try to recall that soft, warm glow of a television screen lighting up your living room on a Friday night. Or, maybe you can almost smell that distinct sweet scent of churros and popcorn wafting through a theme park. Or perhaps you vividly remember that sudden, overwhelming sense of awe the very first time you saw a towering, beautifully lit castle at the end of Main Street. Well, those memories, those deeply ingrained sensory experiences, that is exactly what we are going to unpack today. We're looking at the architecture of emotional attachment and how one specific company, Disney, used it to build literally the most powerful entertainment empire in history. So it really all starts with an incredibly simple, yet honestly profoundly important question. Why do adults still love Disney movies they watched as children? I mean, it's a totally fascinating phenomenon, right? You see grown adults singing along to soundtracks in their cars, wearing the apparel, and eagerly buying tickets to see films that, on paper anyway, were designed for people a fraction of their age. Now, this isn't just some happy accident, and it isn't just simple nostalgia either. It's the result of a highly calculated, masterfully executed strategy. So today, we're going to peel back the layers of this company to reveal exactly how they mastered human emotions. Okay, let's dive right in. Layer 1. Selling memories, not products. Okay, let's dive into this. To really understand Disney's empire, we have to completely shift our focus away from traditional business strategies and introduce a concept known as emotional branding. Think about it. If you're a standard company, your primary goal is utility, right? You make a good product, let's say a running shoe. A person buys that shoe, they wear it until the sole wears out, and boom, the transaction is complete. You sold a physical item. But Disney operates on a completely different plane. They realized early on that if you sell a feeling, specifically that pure, unfiltered joy and wonder of childhood, well, your product never actually expires. You aren't just buying a movie ticket or a streaming subscription. Actually, scratch that. It's more like you are purchasing a return ticket to your own youth. That is the absolute essence of emotional branding. It's about totally bypassing that logical part of a consumer's brain that asks, wait, do I really need this? And going straight to the heart that says, I want to feel that way again. Which brings us to layer 2. Characters built for generations. And this brilliantly illustrates how they do it. Because to sell memories, you need the right vehicles to carry those memories, right? Disney doesn't just sketch out a protagonist for a quick 90-minute film and then just forget about them. No way. They engineer their characters to last an entire lifetime. If we look across the decades, we start way back in the 1920s with Mickey Mouse, an absolute icon born out of the optimistic post-war boom. Then jump to the 1990s with Simba, tapping into these massive themes of responsibility and identity that resonated so deeply with millennials. And then we move to the 2010s with Elsa, capturing a huge cultural shift toward empowerment and self-acceptance. These characters aren't just briefly popular, they become permanent fixtures in people's lives. A grandparent who grew up with Mickey introduces their kid to Simba, who then grows up and takes their own child to see Elsa. The characters are handed down almost like cherished family heirlooms. This generational leapfrog ensures the brand doesn't just stay relevant. It stays deeply, deeply loved, generation after generation. Let's uncover layer 3, the Disney ecosystem. Let's move to and see how this builds, because having great multi-generational characters is one thing, but how do you monetize them continuously without cheapening the magic? Well, you create a fully immersive, interconnected flywheel. It's like a giant puzzle where every piece feeds perfectly into the next. Step 1. Movies lead to merchandise. Imagine a kid watching Toy Story for the very first time. They fall in love with Buzz Lightyear, and suddenly they desperately need the action figure, the backpack, the whole shebang. Step 2. Merchandise leads to theme parks. Now that they have the toy, that kid wants to meet Buzz in real life, so the family books a vacation. Step 3. Theme parks create memories. This is where those sensory experiences we talked about at the very beginning actually happen. You're there, taking family photos in front of the castle, watching the fireworks, just completely immersed in the environment, which naturally flows right into step 4. Memories strengthen the brand. You go home, you frame those photos, and your loyalty to Disney is permanently cemented. When the next movie comes out, you are already first in line, and the entire cycle begins all over again. It is a brilliant, self-sustaining engine of emotional engagement. Moving on to our final piece, layer 4, storytelling as a business weapon. Underpinning that entire ecosystem we just talked about is a fundamental understanding of human psychology. Disney knows that human beings are just hardwired for stories. People don't just consume Disney, they emotionally connect with it. A traditional billboard or a TV commercial might grab your attention for, 5 seconds? But a compelling story? That will live in your head for 50 years. Think about it. Absolutely nobody gets a tattoo of a corporate logo just because they really liked a 30-second car commercial. But millions of people literally tattoo Disney quotes and characters onto their bodies. Why? Because those stories help shape who they are. Disney uses storytelling as their primary business weapon to bypass the cynical part of our brains and speak directly to our hearts. And because they secure that profound emotional connection, they just keep winning, over and over again, even in today's fiercely crowded and competitive entertainment landscape. So the crucial point is this ultimate paradigm shift. Disney's biggest product isn't actually entertainment. It's emotional attachment. When you look at Disney, you might see animation studios, massive streaming platforms, and towering roller coasters. But those are really just the delivery mechanisms. The actual product, the thing they are manufacturing on a mass scale better than anyone else in the history of the world, is the profound, unbreakable emotional attachment between you and their brand. They aren't selling you a ride on a roller coaster. They're selling you a moment of pure joy with your family that you are going to remember for the rest of your life. As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a question to really reflect on. What is your strongest emotional attachment to a brand, and why? Seriously, think about the architecture of your own brand loyalties. Are you just buying a product for its utility, or are you secretly buying a piece of nostalgia, a cherished memory, or a comforting feeling? When you finally understand how companies like Disney construct these brilliant emotional ecosystems, it completely changes how you see the media you consume and the things you buy. Thank you so much for joining me today, and keep questioning the architecture of the world around you.